Okay, so it's July 8th, 2016. I'm in the X Club slash study room slash paint house greenhouse painting room. Right? I have to winterize it a little bit better here yet. I still have to figure out, there goes the screen. I have to still figure out where it leaks. I have to repair up in here. I asked Jerry to do a little something in here, but I don't know. He's been kind of like depressed himself lately, so right. So anyway, there's my little wasabi plant. As you can see, it needs water. I haven't been in here for a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to staple up these blankets on this side because I've washed this one. I can't find the other, so I'm just going to hang a sheet underneath that and then hang it back up. And then what it does, people, is it prevents mold from getting in here and attaching itself to your stuff in your containers, right? You might get a little bit in here, but for the most part this stuff stays pretty dry over the winter, and especially if you run a light, right, to prevent mildew from growing. I still have to do this side, I still have to do this one. So, and the cats are getting in. The cats are still getting in, and I think they're getting in from up there, right? Let's see if I can get this screen working so I can see what I'm doing, right? Anyway, we'll be back. Okay. So as you can see, I have the blanket up, nice and clean. And then there's the cotton lining, a little bit of tie-dye. So you double line it, right? And then this way it's protected over the winter. And because, you know, that raccoon tore everything apart, I'm a little reluctant to put in some, you know, cardboard stuff like that, but it should be fine because there's that one spot where the cats are getting in as far as I can tell. So, I mean, having that raccoon move in here for several months wasn't no party. But besides that point, we're working on it. Okay, people, I think it's August 11th, 2016. It's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to start making some apple juice. This is an old steamer that I've never used since I've lived in this house. I packed it away downstairs in a cupboard, and because my kitchens are small, never really had a chance to use it. But anyway, I'm going to steam some apples. I don't have a juicer to steam, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to put the apples in here, so I'm going to make some apple juice, people, right? And then I'm going to put a cheesecloth here and put some more apples on it. And I've already started with a little bit of water in here. And once I get it boiling, I'm going to turn it down and I'm just going to steam it until I get what I get. And I'm going to try it that way for a batch of apple juice to can. And then I'm going to also use a juicer to get juice out before I cook. Because to cook and to run it through strainers and all that other stuff is just, oh, it's terrible. So in the meantime, I've got my big bowls out here because, you know, as much as people say this stuff doesn't give off a taste, you know, I tend to disagree with sometimes with certain things. So once the juice is done, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it in a bowl, right? Before I decide what I'm going to do with it from that point. Now, I did another batch of blackberries. It's in the fridge. It's already ready to go. It's a little thicker because I kind of ran it through this machine that hand thing that I got. I'll show you. I'll be back. Oh, and just so people know, back in the day, this is something people wouldn't know, is I actually can make Christmas dinners and Thanksgiving and all those kind of dinners. I can make up to 25 people or more. I can cook for myself for 25 people or more people. I am capable of doing that. I have done that. And now I haven't done that for years and 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 years. But if I wanted to, I could still do it. Obviously, you need a little more space than what I've got. Right? But as long as this part is clean, I'm working on it. I'm putting some stuff away. I have no storage, people. I have no storage. My tools are in the house. I'm having to bring stuff up from downstairs because just too much shit's going missing. When I first moved in, I had this beautiful, beautiful big pot. And I don't know, it went missing from the basement. So anyway, this one never did. So I'm going to use this today and let's see what we get. Hold on. Okay, people. So there you go. Right? Once it starts to, I put it up a little high, right, to get it started, okay? And once it starts, I'm going to turn it down to bring it to like a, well, I don't know. You don't want to overcook it because when you're putting it in at 190, right? When you're reheating your juice to 190 and you're canning in 190, what you're doing is you're pasteurizing the juice. You can go as low as 180. Some people say 180, some people say 190. So we don't want to overcook it, right? Like if you were to cook an applesauce. What we want to do, well, what I'm going to try and do is just steam it. And then once it cooks right through, I'm going to turn it off and then probably transport it into something else so it can drip into the bowl, right? And get the juice that way. And then, of course, I'm going to juice and then cook at 190 and then can at 190. So, I don't know. I'm experimenting here. All I know is that yesterday, Andre and I, we went back to the apple tree. And the apples that are coming off the tree right now are like at the end of their time, believe it or not. They're falling down and they're coming out overripe. So when Andre and I got these, we got them at just the right time. They've been sitting in the fridge now for a week or two. So they're perfect for cooking for the majority. Outside of, the bruise, and when they fall off the tree or whatever, birds pecking at them or whatever. So anyway, let's just see what we get here. We'll be back. Hold on. Okay, so as you can see, somewhat, the apples have dropped to half in there. Right? And I turned down the heat very, very low because it's still boiling in there, right? So it is what it is. This here is what the last, I'm not picking no more blackberries. I picked these yesterday and I cooked these up yesterday. Does that look like juice to you people? I ended up using this, I don't know what it's called. Struggling with that cheesecloth to try and get the juice out was just too much for me, right? So I ended up using this thing. Okay. And that's what I got, which is fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to can these in pint jars. Okay, I'm going to bring it up to 180, 190, put a little bit of sugar in there for taste, and I'm just going to can as is. And you can either use it as a concentrated to liquidate to add liquid to it later on for some juice, or you can make blackberry syrup, something. But either or is getting canned. And then more beans coming, so I'll do that at some point, probably tonight after I'm done the blackberries. This, I'm going to do another batch. I'm just going to let it cook for a little while longer, and then I'm going to move it over here, and I'm going to let it cool down that way and drip as it goes. And then I'm going to keep peeling. Well, I'm not peeling. You can leave your apple peels on for this, right? Take out the cores and the seeds, obviously, right? And the bad parts. And then make apple butter or something. I don't know how to make apple butter, but I guess we'll figure it out. And then after the fact, after it cools, I'll probably take that liquid, put it in there, and then put that in the fridge. And then tomorrow, I'll probably end up canning. And then what I haven't got prepared by tonight, in terms of juice, I may get a bucket yet, right? Just pour it into the bucket as I cook it after it's cool, because you'll get more in the bucket. And then tomorrow, my younger daughter is going to help me, right? Okay, people, we're getting some Primo juice here. This worked out really well. Now I'm just going like this, gently. As you can see, the juice is coming out still. Right? I put some in here, in a colander with a little bit of cheesecloth. And then if you fold it and move it around, it does better. Right? So I had my son, my younger son, help me get some pears down from the tree over there, because I told my neighbor I like mine in the fridge so they don't bruise. I can't wait for them to all fall down because they bruise, right? And then because sometimes I'm canning at 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the morning, start at 1, start at midnight, and I'm still canning at 6 in the morning, depending on my energy level, people. That's what it is. I go with my energy, right? Some days I have energy, other days I have absolutely no energy. So, less energy than I've ever had. But besides that point, I have a lot of apples to do. I'm going to do the plums like this too, I think. I'm still going to use the juicer tomorrow, right? I've got a couple of different types. But I'm going to do another batch or two of this anyway. So much for apple pies. I'm not too worried about apple pies right now. little more complicated. I think this is a little more easier. You know, I can always make apple pies later, right? This is a little better, right? So you can see what I'm doing there, and then if you pick it up and you just squeeze it slightly, or just leave it, I can still see it dripping in there. I'll show you what's in there. You can see it's nice. It doubled its size, right? In terms of liquid. Okay, so now I'm steaming plums. It's like 12:16 in the morning here on the 12th of August. Yesterday was the 11th. So I only put like a little bit of water, and what I do is I bring it to a boil, and then I turn it down to about 3. Okay, and I try and keep it just on a low boil for the steam to go. And this cooks and it drips. And as you can see, I've done it twice with apples, so that's a very big pot of apple juice, unsweetened. And then put it in your cheesecloth, right? Oops, sorry, wandering eye. And squeeze it out. Eventually, you're going to have to do by hand. You get more out of it. And yeah, so I'm trying this now. So as soon as the water is boiling, you put the lid on it, turn it down, temperature, and then just steam it on very low, right? For however long you think, maybe an hour, because you're on 2, 3, right? Because you don't want to boil what's on the bottom and boil everything away. So you just want it on a very low temperature. So I'm going to put that in the fridge. After that, I'll get that in the fridge. And then I'll get that in the fridge. I guess this stuff here you use for, I already have some in the fridge in the pot to make apple butter. I don't know how to do that. I'll have to look that up. But you can either freeze that for applesauce or you can can it. We'll see what we're going to do with that. Hold on. Okay, so now we're going on at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the apple juice. I did those plums. I'll show you the juice after. These are some apples that aren't bruised, so I will put them back in the fridge because they stay fresher. Here's that apples. That was like a lot of apples, people. And then I'm going to take this after it cools down, wrap it up, twist it around, but I'm going to do it in here. This works. I like this better, right? And then put the juice. I'll show you. Hold on. Okay, so there you go. That's the plum juice. That's the plums. It needs sugar. And I guess, I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. Okay, so what's today? 12th of August? Right? So here's the deal. I'm going to upload this after I'm done this little clip, because otherwise it's going to be an hour-long video and it takes so long to convert and all this other crap. I'm going to be so busy for the next couple of weeks, right? So what we're doing here is we're sterilizing a whole bunch of jars. We're starting off with 7. After they're boiled for 10 minutes, I'm going to stick them in a warm oven for 200 to 210, okay? And then they'll just sit there until I'm ready to use them as I continue to boil some more 1 liter size jars for some juice, because I'm not too sure how many liters I need. And then I'm going to boil up some of these and get them ready for apple butter, which I've never made before, and that Blackberry, what do you call it? Syrup. Mixture. So this is leftover apples from yesterday, last night, that I made, which I'm going to be canning the juice today. You put it through a food mill to chop it all up, make it nice and fine. You can either cook it on the stove, or for convenience purposes, you can cook it in a crock pot on the lowest temperature, okay? And you keep stirring it every now and then, more if it's on the stove, less if it's in the crock pot, until you get it to the consistency that you want. Basically, the only thing that you're really putting into it is sugar, some cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and some ground cloves. And then there's an old-fashioned kind where you can put some sweet cider vinegar in there and make it a little more spicy. But in this case, I've never made an apple butter before, and I know if I throw this in the freezer, people, chances are it will just go into the compost. I'm safer to can it, because in a jar, if it doesn't pop, it can sit there for years. So sooner or later, somebody's going to eat it. Put it in the freezer, 3 years later, you find it, and you're like, holy shit, did it get unthawed? Because, my upper freezer here at the small fridge was giving me some problems at one time. I put some stuff in a jar, and long story short, ended up throwing it out, right? Have the jar, but the food went to waste. So I don't want this to go to waste. I think if I take my time with it and make something spreadable that's tasty, I'll use cinnamon and cloves and some sugar, and I'll put it in the crock pot, and we'll just see. So what I tell my youngest daughter is we have to pick our priorities, because it's my youngest daughter that's the one that's helping me out the most, Andre, and she does a fair amount of errands for me when I need errands done, right? So today she's going to go and pay a couple of bills because my other daughter paid her rent. So I have a little bit of money for hydro, right, and for the telephone. And I'm talking landline, okay? I don't have a cell phone, people. And so I don't know how much she's going to help me today with canning. And then tomorrow she's taking in the cable boxes for the TV because I can't afford it and nobody else wants to help me pay for it. So, and she's getting 2 goldfish. So she's going to go to the mall with Andre tomorrow. So outside of that, if she doesn't help me today or tomorrow with canning, at some point she's going to help me somewhere along the line, because she has to learn. I told her, if you do it with me now, you'll learn. And then, because she struggles with reading, at least she'll have the memory of how it was done, right? And then it will be much easier for her to do it after I'm gone. Okay? My younger son thinks I'm nuts right now because I'm like, got all this food in the fridge, like fruit in the fridge, and I'm like, I need sugar, and get the pears off the trees before they drop. I want them unbruised. I'd rather them a little unripe in the fridge, sitting there for a week or two until I'm ready to start canning them at 3 o'clock in the morning. You know how it goes. As a mother, you have to pick your priorities, and right now this is the priority, because I tell my youngest daughter, at least we'll have some juice in the winter time, because the way things are going financially, I'm serious, people. I went to the corner store over here. He was selling some stuff for $1. I walked out for $65, and that's it. That's it. I got some discounted cans of tomato, only because my tomato plants didn't really grow this year. But I have beans, right? I've had the fruit, got the apples, got the pears. So anyway, I'll upload this now.